Paul Glennie, thanks so much for coming down to Has-Been today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
And if you can let the folks know at home and on the internet, why are you running for Fortuna City Council?
Well, first off, I love the city. I love its citizens, and I feel I have something to offer, and I want to be involved in its future.
And where do you see the future of Fortuna? A lot of folks have talked about these annexations present and possibly planned in the future. Do you think it's Fortuna's destiny to be the biggest city in Humboldt County?
Well, not necessarily, but I think growth is a part of the age process. Fortuna has the ability, and I think the future, to have a few more businesses there. Now, growth has to make sense with who you have come in. If you get businesses, and I'll use Walmart as an example, you want repeat business. It's a small community. Businesses rely on repeat business, but I believe also that you want a business, I'll use the example as a Walmart, to get people to come in from the outer areas also.
And using Walmart as an example, where do you think Fortuna's best opportunities lie in creating not just minimum wage jobs, but living wage jobs that families can support themselves with in Fortuna?
Yeah, again, I will support a Walmart type of store, but my first priority is having a business there that will offer full-time employment with benefits. We have way too many young people, not just in Fortuna, but in all of Humboldt County, leaving the area because we don't have these type of corporations, and we have room for them.
And as far as the infrastructure needed to support that kind of growth, I know there's been some controversy over the overbuilding of a water tank. Some say it's more than the city needs, others say, well, that's accommodating for future growth that the city might anticipate, or that in emergency situations you might need a 5 million gallon reserve. Where do you come down on that?
Well, I agree with that. It's there again, it's part of growing. It's part of the future. I'm a taxpayer too. And if I can sidetrack just a little bit, our water and sewer rates, my bill doubled. Do I like that? No. But if it means a better system that's going to last 30 to 40 to 50 years, then I'm willing to pay the cost. And to get back to your water tank situation, my feeling is if we need to build a new one, that's what we should do. Do it right the first time. Don't repair something that's just going to break 10 or 20 years down the road. To me, that's a waste of money, and I'm a taxpayer, like I just said. I don't want to have my money go to waste. I've worked too hard to get my money, like everyone else.
As a taxpayer, do you feel like the city manager, city hall kind of issues came up with openness in this whole water tank discussion? Do you think the city manager has too much authority versus the public and versus the city council?
No, I don't right now. But there again, I haven't been on the city council. I haven't been on the planning commission. This is part of my reason for getting involved. I'll certainly find those things out if I'm elected. And then I'm able to maybe do something about it. Do I feel right now? I've met Dwayne Riggy. I've met other department heads. I don't think it's so much a control issue as an organizational issue. He likes the city to run smooth. I think that's a good thing.
Just in general, what do you feel in your experience you're bringing to the table in trying to provide leadership for Fortuna over the next 4 years? What would you most hope to accomplish?
I believe in getting involved in bringing some of these situations or companies, businesses into Fortuna to let it grow. That's where I am a pro-growth person, but pro-growth that makes sense.
And what would be some examples of that kind of growth?
I would like to see, and I'll use this as an example, Hershey's chocolate come in. It's a perfect match with the creamery right next door. Things of that nature. We need a clothing store. And I'll use the example as a Walmart type of store too. This would bring in monies to the city. And the city can't run without money. It's that simple. So.
Now, moving on to law enforcement issues. Obviously, Fortuna has pretty low crime rate, but at the same time, it does seem like there are two Fortunas. Over 20% of Fortuna, at least the latest census figures coming out, will seem to bear that out, is Hispanic, and yet you don't really see those folks, certainly on the city council or even up the public comment in the halls of City Hall. Do you feel like the city could do more to try to bring those folks into the community and make them feel like they're an integral part of it?
Well, my feeling is everybody's welcome to come and participate. Nobody's been restricted. I think it's up to the individual, such as myself. If I personally wanted to be more involved, so I got more involved. You can't focus on one group or any individual. I think it's there again an individual choice. If a Hispanic man or woman want to run for city council, then do it. That's how I feel about that.
Well, the reason I bring that up is Fortuna was the only local city that had its law enforcement agency, Fortuna Police Department, participate in the raids conducted by Immigration and Customs Enforcement a little while back. And of course, those raids were, a little controversial. Folks who otherwise were working for a living and, not causing trouble or otherwise involved in crime were definitely taken down and taken out of the community. Is Fortuna Police participating in ICE raids, the sort of spending of public tax dollars you want to see, or would you prefer a different approach?
Well, first off, I believe in our police chief, Kitna. He's doing a good job, along with our volunteer fire department. Yes, if people are breaking the law, they should be punished in any form. And I apologize, it might not be the longest answer you like, but it's a direct and honest answer.
And also something that not just folks in that community but across Fortuna experience are these DUI checkpoints. Not to point fingers at Fortuna, Eureka Police are running these as well. Do you think those checkpoints, supposedly they're for DUI purposes, but usually they seem to result in quite a few cars impounded and then auctioned off for the benefit of the city? Do you think that's the best way for the police to handle DUI prevention, other law enforcement issues, or would they be better off out there in traffic patrol?
Well, first off, the checkpoints are okay with me, and the reason I say that is because it's in the paper the prior day or a few days before they do it. So if somebody if you're going to go out drinking and driving or whatever, you got to read the paper. It's kind of common sense stuff, and stay away from that area.
And as far as just the effectiveness of it, Eureka Police, as using one example again, was going to have a checkpoint Sunday before last because of the inclement weather. I think it was the day after 9/11, actually, on September 12th. They canceled the checkpoint, had those officers that were going to be on overtime at that checkpoint doing traffic patrols. They found 4 DUIs in the process of just doing their normal traffic stops looking for people not driving safely, which is actually more DUIs than they actually caught at the last checkpoint. The checkpoints, it does seem like it results more in an income revenue generator for the city than actually preventing DUIs. Where do you come down on that?
Well, I think you're absolutely correct. If it's factual that they are doing a better job out patrolling than they are sitting at one stop, then I agree with you. That's what they should be doing. But you got to remember, they get grants, and I believe the grants are specific for that purpose. So it's either take the money and do the stops, or just don't take the money at all.
Well, of course, some of the former and current Fortuna City Council members have warned of the glee some other local governments approach of federal grant money. It's free money, and they'll say, well, no, that's taxpayers' money, and we got to think twice before accepting these grants because it has those strings attached. Is that a concern of yours?
Sure, if it's waste. There again, I'm a taxpayer. I don't want my money being wasted. There's enough waste in our federal government and state government that warrants you should double check things before you do anything. I'm a believer in find out the facts first before you render any decision on anything.
Now, Fortuna's budget hasn't been in quite the crisis mode, say, City Eureka has been facing lately, the kind of structural deficits. And yet part of the reason that's been the case is that Fortuna, the transit dollars it gets through the gas tax or the state and so forth, it sends a lot of that to its road repair fund when other local cities are spending more of that on transportation projects to benefit seniors, disabled students, and so forth. Where do you come down on what priority is it, the road repair versus providing those mass transit options for folks who otherwise just can't drive?
Well, I think you can benefit both parties. I mean, why not? It can be split. Why can't the money be split? I don't think anything, if it makes sense. I mean, you got to research it, and so your information, you can make a factual decision. I believe there's enough monies when it comes to sort of that thing to where it can be split up to benefit both parties. Fortuna is very fortunate. They watch their pocketbook. We have $1 million surplus. And they're doing a good job. I mean, that proof in the pudding.
Do you think there's a problem with money in politics? Eureka just passed a campaign contribution cap. Arcata's had one for a while. There's been discussions they want to impose one on Humboldt County Supervisor and other county-wide races. Do you think Fortuna needs to implement some sort of campaign finance reform?
No, I don't. There again, we're a very small community. Everyone knows everyone. There's no better publicity than word of mouth, and that's better than any newspaper ad you can put in, although I'm not against doing that. I just feel people know people, and they listen to each other, and then when they go to the polls, they make an educated decision. I mean, that's my opinion on that.
As far as that old Palco mill site, there was talk about turning it into a Lowe's, but I guess whatever developer down in the Sacramento area wanted to come up and do that as soon as the economy went south. So did those plans. What's your vision for what that site will turn into?
Yeah, there again, I can refer back to what we discussed earlier. And I'm just an example, a Walmart situation, a Hershey's chocolate factory, a clothing store, something of that nature. There's plenty of land to do those things, and I believe you can go so long without growing, and you'll stagnate. Fortuna has a unique opportunity. I believe it should grow, and then again, it's going to benefit the citizens, and that's what it's all about. It's got to benefit the citizens. If it doesn't benefit the citizens, we shouldn't do it.
Well, the citizens, at least some of them, at least gave somewhat high marks to the whole general plan process. A lot of citizen engagement involved in that. So, do you think the outcome of that's generally been positive? And what guidance does the general plan give you as far as the direction Fortuna needs to be in?
I think we're going great. The general plan, and rezoning efforts, I think are the way to go. It's gearing up for the future. And that's what we need to do. When you do general plans and rezoning, they're done periodically anyway. It's an ongoing process. It benefits any city that does it. And I'm for it. I'm for growth, common sense growth. And we need to get started on that. I believe the future for Fortuna is going to be terrific.
Is there anything else you'd like to say as voters head to the polls on November 2nd?
I would just like to say thank you, Douglas, for the interview, and vote for me on November 2nd. And thank you.
All right, Paul Glennie, thanks so much for coming down to Haspeen today.
You bet.